Welcome back for game number 2. Wait a second. No, we played a game number 2. Sorry, that was just, it was so fast that 7-0 that I feel like we're getting ready for game number 2, but in fact it is game number 3, and it's going to be Gaimin Gladiators one shot. Now, Cookies, Gaimin Gladiators, can they even get out of relegation at this point? Things are looking grim for them.
I mean, answer your question. Technically, yeah, they can. Will they? Maybe not.
TBD.
But they might if Jolton keeps playing it the way he is. You know, his second week in a row, he's highlight player. This time it's for a good reason, okay? Jolton had a perfect entry game in the loss last week, okay? Perfect 3-0. But Gaimin Gladiators off stream, they lost to Oculix. Now, let me tell you about that game. You didn't see it because it was off stream, okay? They had an attack half where they brought out a Montaigne and whatnot, got the bomb down 4 times, right? They got retook on 3 out of the 4 times they planted. They only won 1 of the rounds they planted. And this is a team, they can't get your break. They had the advantage in those types of rounds. They still can't close out. People like Jolton going negative a million. It's a struggle. And it's going to be a struggle to get out of the relegation spot.
Yeah, it's going to be especially more of a struggle when you're going up against a team like One Shot, who, I mean, they don't have a perfect stage anymore, but it's near perfect.
I mean, something happened last week, and I don't know if the team was off. And sometimes in best of ones, it's just what you see. You know, it's whoever shows up on the given day that's going to perform better. And last weekend was just not One Shot's weekend. They lost 2 games in regulation. But if you excluded that and you just looked at the rest of their stage, they were the team to beat. They were what we're putting Nocturnes as now. They looked absolutely stellar. They're winning games in regulation. They're getting big wins and dominant wins with high round differential the whole time. And now it just feels like, there's an asterisk. What One Shot is kind of going to show up today? I have Prod as my highlight player because I think he's one of the backbone players of this team. He really can put them in a position where they're enabled. And I think that, over this last week, Prod's one of those guys who could probably talk to them and be like, listen, we need to pick up the pace. We need to figure out what we're doing here. And we need to go back to how we were playing previously. And I think if they do that, they're in a pretty good position here today.
Mm-hmm. Now, for Gaimin Gladiators, Cookies, this team only has 1 victory. That was in their 3rd Playday, or at least 3rd game. And I mean, it was against Luminosity when they were slumping a bit. So that's, we're a long ways from there. So what can Gaimin Gladiators do to actually get some more points on the board? Because it's been a while.
Well, I messed up by talking about it a little too early, okay? But yes.
I did the same.
For example, right? I just think, for example, you win those rounds you're supposed to win. Like, again, you guys just have to listen to how I'm enunciating it to you. But they literally had Oculix dead in the ropes. The Montaigne Rudy looked like, I don't know how many people watched the Year 1 Invitational on Skyscraper, but that guy looked like Slash when he was walking through as the Montaigne. They were getting the bomb down on these takes on their attacks, and it looked good for a team that has the worst attacks in the league. Let's be real. They had the worst. The entries are struggling. Everything's struggling. They had it going for them in that game. Couldn't close it out. So I'm wondering if today, maybe they bring out the Montaigne more. Maybe they bring out the Rudy Cat Montaigne, and that'll turn their fortunes around. I have no idea. That's just one thing that they'd have to fix. But I guess you start with something, right?
Now, okay, One Shot. We'll go over to their critical points, Tanner. Let's keep in mind their 2 losses that they're coming off of are against AQ and TTK, who are playing currently the best Siege that we've seen them play. So kind of on the flip argument that I had for Gaimin Gladiators, maybe not the worst losses considering the tough opponents that they had.
I mean, yeah, but there were still some mistakes in those days that kind of held them back. And the biggest one was it just felt like they were slow or they're afraid to enter the map. They're having a lot of difficulty entering into the map. And I want to see the One Shot that comes in as methodical as getting these entry picks, taking the map control, and basically just locking down the entire map. They don't play the current meta the way that everyone's expecting, that fast, rapid gameplay. They play with information. They play with intent. They make sure that strategically they're locking down and checking all their boxes. And I want them to get to that point today. And the biggest thing they need to do that is they need to start on round 1. And I think that was the biggest mistake they made last week versus Took the Kids, which was a game we thought that maybe they're probably going to win. And they didn't. But what ended up happening is they didn't get a kill until round 3. So they went 2 whole rounds. They lost 11 bodies before they got the first body. And at the end of the day, the scoreline was a 7-5 win for the side that Took the Kids. Those 2 rounds made a pivotal difference. I think if they, just tighten up on their entry department and they show up at the beginning of the game, this could be a very easily we could very easily see, you know, the old the old one shot back in this game.
Okay, now this is pivotal here because Tanner, I'll stick with you for the map veto to start out with. I feel like the cards are in the hands of One Shot, and you know, if you're Gaimin Gladiators, you got to go for something basic.
I mean, Gaimin Gladiators, I think you hit it right on the head. They're really struggling right now to just find their form as a team to play cohesively. And if I'm on the side of One Shot, I want to take away the Oregons and the Borders and the Equalizer maps, the Clubhouses.
Yeah.
There you go. I mean, yeah, I mean, that's what I would want them to do. But, you know, Gaimin Gladiators really hasn't looked good on any map. I know I'm kind of backtracking here, but I think this is a good map for Gaimin Gladiators. This is a map that probably favors them a little bit more because it's one of those maps that we like to call an equalizer map because everyone's played it so often. You know the default positions, your drone work doesn't have to be as tight as it does in some of the bigger maps. And this is a map that Gaimin Gladiators has a chance. Now, that being said, this is one of One Shot's most dominant maps as a team. So it could go either way here. And in terms of favoring one team versus the other, I still think this is very much a One Shot.
Cookies, as the predictions come up, do you think that that's why maybe One Shot would, because it really was down to their final choice when it's between Chalet and then they opted to ban the Chalet to go to the Clubhouse. Do you think their dominance on Clubhouse specifically is why they may have allowed one of those equalizer maps to get in when they had the option to go to Chalet?
You know, I will say this. Using the Connor D'Apollonio map ban tool that we have as analysts, okay, according to that, Gaimin Gladiators Clubhouse is one of the most common maps banned against them. So One Shot might be walking into a trap here, potentially. You know, people aren't letting Gaimin play Club. So we might have something. I don't know. First, what do you think about that theorem?
I mean, like I said, it's an equalizer map. It's whoever shows up best on any given day is the one that's going to perform. And best of ones, it's even more amplified. And then the equalizer maps, it's even more amplified. And we saw last week, you know, there was something going on with One Shot that just wasn't letting them get their footing. So if Gaimin comes in with the right mentality, they have a potential where they can actually upset One Shot in this game and get a much needed 3 points that they desperately need at this point if they want to avoid auto elimination.
Remember when they beat Aqualix on this map?
I would just like to point out,
Shot.
Cookies, I would just like to point out the program that you mentioned is actually called CMAPS by CDAPS. It's technically a technical trademark there. Just wanted to let you know that. Yeah, it's a patent pending.
He gets one data sheet. Now it's trademarked.
Hey, it's more than a data sheet. It's a god sheet. Okay, have you seen?
We need it. We need
have
it.
You seen the info that's gone into that? He's done incredible.
I mean, shout out CDAS. We need that info. That's why our map ban data is so good. It's because CDAS put in that work.
Okay, Cookies. I know we've been talking about it here, but Clubhouse, Gaimin Gladiators, is it a simple game they need to play? Like, do they need to just focus on themselves, take a map where you're like, let's do the most vanilla play we've ever done, but do it right? Is that how you create building blocks, not just for this victory, but hopefully other victories to get yourself out of this hole?
I think the one building block they have this stage when they won 8-7 on Border, which I think conceptually is similar to Club, and that it is pretty straightforward, right? Like, you know, Clubhouse is a really step heavy. It's just steps, get it done. You know, it's not like the banks and whatever that they've been playing and they struggled on, where it's a little more complex, a little more wrench heavy. I think they actually have a chance here on Clubhouse. I was almost gonna change my vote, but I think we're past that point. Because I don't know. I don't think I should. You know, I've already done.
I'm just trying to get my
the contrary. I've had the contrarian votes enough. I think Karn's team has single-handedly tanked my predictions, like by 10% at least. So I'm done. I think I'm gonna go with the consensus of One Shot, but I do think Gaimin has a fighting chance at least. It's not gonna be a slap fest.
Do you think, Tanner, anything less than a regulation win is pretty much unacceptable at this point for Gaimin Gladiators, considering what they need to do to get themselves out of regulation?
Absolutely. I mean, they're 1 point, or sorry, correction, they're 3 points behind Aerial Rise for the relegation spot. Like, Aerial Rise right now, if the stage ended today, would be playing a relegation game versus a CL qual team. And if they want to even get a chance at staying in for stage 3, they need to hit that mark. They need every point they can get, and this has to be a regulation win. So what I'm looking for from Gaimin for this is, did they do the work this week to get the mini games of Clubhouse down pat? Things like, how do you clear rafters? How do you clear out the bathroom on a gym attack? making sure that they're coordinated and working together. It's real simple if you do the work and you get that coordination piece down and you're drilling it. If they didn't drill it and they look weak on it, then they're not going to get any points. I don't think that's going to even happen.
Now let's flip our focus a little, CJ, to one shot. If you're one shot going into Clubhouse, you're looking forward now towards, you're setting your sights possibly on playoffs well down the road, but it's a long year. Is this a map that, because of how rehearsed it is, do you also maybe go in and play a very basic Clubhouse and try not to give too much away, or do you think it doesn't really matter at this point?
I know it's a different one shot ever so, but it's like the same leader, right? Kilo's the consistent thing in all of this, okay? And he's still calling the shots. And one shot's club is absolutely anything but basic. At least on defense, these dudes sit next to breaches. They play crazy and they get in your face. And for a team like Gaimin struggling right now to do a whole lot of anything, a whole lot of killing, it's not going their way. They might struggle with the one shot that actually breaks the mold and plays a little more floaty, not traditionally. Actually.
Well, and maybe Tanner can get in on this after you, Cookies. But for one shot, what do you tell yourself as a team, like the message saying, like, look, we know that this game is probably ours, but like, don't get inside your own head about it. Don't just assume you have anything, because mistakes can be made there.
Actually, I want to harken back to a lesson that one of my former players, Abernai, taught me back in the day, which you lose a season or you lose a stage on the games you think you deserve to win. Right? It's the games where you let off the gas and you feel like you're not playing the same, like you don't have to put in as much effort. And it's like, oh man, it's just Gaimin Gladiators. We beat them automatically. These are the games that can absolutely throw apart a team stage and how they end up performing. So one shot, I don't think is that team. They have a lot of veteran leadership on this team. Some of these players have been relegated. They know you can't let off the brakes ever. So I don't think one shot's a team that's going to necessarily have that problem. But that being said, if when they go into practice, they have to make sure they're putting in the same amount of effort. And obviously, after 2 regulation losses, that's not even in their mindset at all. They want to, prove to us that they're still the old Kanye that we were talking about earlier.
Well, then I got to pose the same question about one shot that I posed against Gaimin Gladiators. So, Cookies, if you're one shot, not because you need the points, although the points are great, because of the team you're facing, is anything less than a regulation win unacceptable because of the status you've kind of created for yourself? And I don't know, would it give other teams an impression, like if you're not pulling out a regulation win against Gaimin Gladiators, does it mean that there are maybe holes to pick apart?
I'm thinking, that's your first part of the question. If one shot loses this one in regular, is that what you said? If one shot,
no,
somehow...
I'm saying that they themselves also have to win in regulation because of the message that carries. That if anything less than a win in regulation against Gaimin Gladiators, there's problems then.
And I mean this in a positive way. This is a really angsty one-shot roster. I don't think they would be okay. I don't think. Let me just put it lightly. I don't think they would be okay with losing to a very down bad Gaimin team. That would be the type. That's a stage decider, as Forceful said. If they lose this one after how last weekend was, then people might start getting a little pissed off in the team chat. If you know what I mean, things might get problematic if they lose this one.
Well, I'll tell you, the lobby chat, if we're referring to chats right now, they're telling me that they're ready to go. So we're going to throw the casters right now. We're going to go to our third map of the day. It's going to be Clubhouse.
Thank you very much, Jim. Sorry about that delay. I know how the analyst desk they can drone on and on, Jonah, but we're finally here. And Clubhouse is definitely an interesting one. Neither of these teams have played this map this stage just yet, but in past stages, they both have pretty good records on it.
Yeah, this one I'm hoping is going to be a better matchup than the one we just saw. And considering that was a 7-0, I think that is a pretty low bar that this matchup should be able to overcome. But let's see. You never know. Gaimin Gladiators, they're going to have to fight here. They're going to have to play the game because there is no question that one shot are the favorites. But we'll dive into our operator bans. Our analysts speculated enough about what we might see. Now we can tell you what we are actually seeing. The Maverick ban isn't too much of a surprise on the attack, nor is the Thatcher. Two of these pesky Hard Breacher and Hard Breach Assister trying to remove them from the board is pretty understandable. It does leave up the Hibana, right? It does leave up your Finka, your Nook, your any other creative attacking operator that you could think of still on the board. But as far as defensive bans are concerned as well, nothing shocking here either.
Yeah, and I love how much the analyst desk talked about what this game means for both these teams, just in terms of standing. Because, right, Gaimin Gladiators are 3 points behind Aerial Arise and 5 points behind LSR in 9th. And so even if Gaimin Gladiators win this game in regulation, they still won't be ahead of Aerial Arise because as of right now, they are down 11 rounds in the differential to Aerial Arise, which is impossible to make up in just one game. Meanwhile, on the side of One Shot have now lost their top 3 spot this stage to Took the Kids and Nocturnes. And in fact, the only reason why One Shot is in 4th and not 5th is because they have 4 rounds better in their differential than Aqualix. I mean, LG are creeping up. They're 1 point behind One Shot. Vipers, 1 game behind One Shot. So One Shot need this to put themselves back in that top 3. Because even then, even if they do Nocturnes, if they win later today against West Garfield Park, they will be cemented in 2nd. So really important game in terms of standings with how few games we have left in the stage. Remember, we're on, what Playday are we on right now? We're on
7.
Playday 7. There's only 9 in total. So the games, are becoming more and more important.
And of course, without like a playoff bracket at the end of the stage, right? It's all about placement. It's all about getting yourself into the highest placement possible so you can get that bag, so you can get that cash. And of course, so you can avoid the relegation spot at the very bottom of the leaderboard. But both of these two teams, if they put in a good performance in these last couple of days, should be okay. But the Gaimin Gladiators are cutting it pretty near close to the bottom. They need to keep stepping up. They need to find a way to bounce back, and maybe Clubhouse is the equalizer that will help them to do so. Arrow getting aggressive here, as you can see. Only 60 seconds into this round, but he is already hunting for some of the action as One Shot are working their way in to the kitchen, to this top floor, just trying to get as much control as possible. Razor, during this process, takes a nitro cell almost to the face and is pretty lit up, almost down to pretty much a bullet or 2 worth of HP, but given that he is a Finka, he should be able to boost himself back up in no time.
Like you said, Gladiators are getting real ready to fight. Not just Arrow, but a very large roam extension from the entire team, looking to take One Shot off guard. We also see Sens coming out. Last time we saw it, I believe it was Prod playing it. Now Kilo is on them. I mean, we haven't seen a whole lot of Sens play this stage, but One Shot, I think, has been the team to embrace it the most. I think they played it. They played them with like 3 or 4 rounds or so. So it's definitely refreshing to see the operator. Kilo is in dirt, the perfect spot to throw down those projectors and try and make his way in. But he's not the one with the case. That's Swaylin, currently above the kitchen hatch. Unfortunately for the team, since this gadget does not go all the way to the ceiling, so Gaimin Gladiators are watching it like a hawk. They should be able to detect at least when that drop happens, and that drop is going to have to happen soon. 45 seconds left, and it seems like they are fully aware. No, it's actually from above before Swaylin even has a chance to drop. Rudy will frag him from upstairs in Logi.
Good C4. That's another kill for the Gaimin Gladiators here, and now Razor, I mean, he's got to find a way to get these kills back on this hatch. He's also lost another teammate now. You lose NBK. There goes Razor. He's gone too. It's all up to Prod, just like that, in a 1 versus 4. The Sens didn't last very long in dirt there, and those Sens projectors, pretty useless it seemed in this round, as almost nothing got done at all. One Shot took map control, and they had the hatch open, but that's just about it. They never really took that control and turned it into an execute. The waiting game just stalled them out, and they ended up losing almost every gunfight they took.
Not only the waiting game, but the lack of clear for that roam punished them in the end. Rudy killing Swaylin, dropping case, and killing another. And because that hatch drop was so slow, it leaves Kilo on an island. He sent out one of those projectors, but like you said, didn't really do a whole lot. And his efforts were met with a C4 to the face from Jolton. So I don't really know what the plan was there for the Sens in the end. Didn't get a chance to see it because of how slow One Shot were and how much they were punished by their decision to not clear the roam. So Gaimin Gladiators, they start off strong, only suffering a single death in that round. Not a great start for One Shot, but we are going to move on to Cash, the top floor bomb site, and Azami is not banned, so we will continue to see her. We saw her last round. We'll see her again here for the first time today.
Yeah, when I think of Azami and the best uses we've seen of her so far in CL, it's actually One Shot that comes to mind. Especially on Bank, One Shot has some really creative setups with how they employ those Kiba barriers when holding blue. But on Clubhouse, right, the main usage we've seen of those Kiba barriers has been bolstering a garage hold. And we just did see both Kibas placed down on rafters, solidifying the open Raptors positions, right? Half the Raptors are already reinforced, right? Already have that metal barricade, and there are a couple of gaps that those Kiba barriers fit nicely into. So that'll solidify that position, allow the Gaimin Gladiators to hold it for a bit longer, and it'll encourage One Shot to get a bit more creative with how they want to deal with said Raptors position. They'll have to work their way in garage eventually. It's something we just saw Swalen begin to prep as he opened up that garage from the west side. Kilo, though, he's wary that there could be a run out from the same position, as really Kilo, Swalen, and the rest of this team try to get themselves in the right spots before they actually begin opening up this map.
It should be a relatively simple prospect considering they have all the hard breach in the world, bringing every single one of them except Maverick. And they're dealing with a bandit trick that they haven't quite figured out how to clear yet. Seems like Razor's going to be the man to do so with his nades. He's just kind of crouch walking up secret right now. Luckily for him, there's no one on Gaimin Gladiators standing in the way. The only player downstairs is barring, but he's far and away. He's over in bar. Unfortunately for the Iana, though, Lamidus placed downstairs. They eat up one of those nades. The second one, though, goes down. Rudy unable to bandit trick as both the Thermite and the Ace go out on the wall. But no!
That's
the
brutal.
Ace charge! The Selma destroys the exothermic. Bit of a missed throw from Prod.
Yeah, not great timing either. Struggling to deal with that bandit trick. They just said, okay, let's overwhelm the bandit, make sure that at least one of these walls gets opened up. And sure, they were able to do that, just losing a bit of utility in the process. Thankfully, they don't have to worry too much about hard breach in general, because like you said, they've got a ton of it. Swalen still chewing through those X-Kairos pellets. Prod still with a Selma, Kilo still with an exothermic, so the remainder of this round is going to have to be on what they can do with their other utility. How are they going to force Arrow out of this position, for example? They don't have, other than the two nades that NVK has in pocket, they don't have much else. They'll throw the flashes up, though, and then a perfect nade will follow it up, dealing the damage onto Arrow, fatal damage at that. Rudy's also been finished off, so it's a 5v3, but only 20 seconds remain for One Shot to actually finish this attack.
Bit of a misstep in the beginning of the round, but a good recovery, at least until Swalen goes down. Luckily, Prod's there to get the refrag. Now he's Jolton and Quartz in a 2 versus 4, but Kilo, he's stuck in the gas. He's got to go ahead and rush, and hip fires through the wall. That's a round-saving kill from Kilo. NVK walking up the stairs dies, but Quartz, no info on the planter, doesn't wallbang him, dies to the Iana, and One Shot. It started to come close thanks to a well-placed gas canister, but Kilo with a big kill and a reposition gives them the round.
Yeah, it looked like One Shot had a pretty substantial advantage when it came to that execute. I mean, truthfully, they did, but a well-placed smoke grenade and some good positioning from Gaimin Gladiators kept them in the fight, but like you said, very well-timed kill from Kilo to keep them alive. Had Kilo gone down, things would have been very different, because Kilo, having escaped the gas, rotated directly in front of that soft wall where the remaining two defenders were holding. Had he died, he would have dropped the case, the bomb would have been in the middle of the site, and Gaimin Gladiators would have had a pretty good perspective to, one, watch it, and two, if there had been two of them alive still at that point, they don't have that many choke points to watch. So very clutch from Kilo in that moment, but One Shot did have the advantage thanks to some really good use of utility on that rafters clear. The Kiba barriers really didn't do much. The only thing they could stop, or assist rather, is Gaimin Gladiators taking the fight with the garage door, or down on that concrete door coming out of lounge into garage. But One Shot, they just worked their way in from the main garage doors on that west side, like we said. dealt with the utility and dealt with Arrow pretty quickly. So nicely done for them. So they were tied up at 1.
It was a very late but clean Rafters clear. And compounded with the 2 entry picks from Prod, that's a recipe for success if I've ever seen one. Gaimin Gladiators not retrying the site. They will instead go to Gym, but of course still extend where the site once was. One Shot again met with a Bandit, supplemented, sounds like by a Mute Jammer, if I'm not mistaken. They did have a drone on Rudy. He'll shoot it and fall back. Now that One Shot is aware of the Bandit trick, I guess he figures, you know what? It's not worth it. May as well fall back. But Razor, opening pick onto Quartz. Wall already open on Jacuzzi, and the Alibi will be the first casualty of round 3.
Yeah, good shot there, definitely. I mean, we didn't quite see it in time, but Quartz probably taking a bit too much of an aggressive angle. And on the rappel there, Razor was able to collect that kill over in Gym. Barring is using these Kiba barriers really well right now, just to solidify that Gym position as long as he can, right? You've got a Kiba barrier on that Gym window to give him some freedom in terms of how he positions. All it takes is NBK to melee that a couple of times, get that breaching hammer out, get some nades out. They're going to be able to deal with that Kiba barrier in due time, but just a little bit of time, a little bit of utility, we can see how that adds up in the end. But Kilo, long angle fight there from the Jacuzzi breach. A shot onto Jolton that really Jolton should not have been taking.
Yeah, good advantage for One Shot now. Barring with a run out? Just gives his life up to Razor. The C4 from below in response does net the trade. Kilo also eating damage from an explosive, but still 2-man advantage for One Shot. Make it 3 as Kilo gets a kill from outside the breach. Rudy downs the thermite and drops the case, but ample time for One Shot to recover. They don't need to panic. NVK just looked like he spotted him before he, while he was shooting the Alibi clone, but still looked to his right. Either way, gets the round-ending kill, and One Shot go up 2-1.
One Shot there, making Gym look pretty easy, I gotta say. I mean, that site has really fallen into a firm place in the meta, with defensive teams getting more and more victories on that site, but Gaimin Gladiators just did not have it. I mean, One Shot, they never had to push in, really. They just took all the fights from the windows and the doorways and the breaches, and they were able to get almost every single kill from there. I mean, namely Kilo, who opened up that Jacuzzi wall and then just sat there for the remainder of the round. He did consider working his way in. He stepped into Gym for a moment. He got C4'd, so he then went back outside the breach. But he collected 2 kills from that very position. Gaimin Gladiators chose to swing him twice and lost 2 lives in that very position. Razor was also able to get a kill on that breach. NVK was able to get a kill from the window. Gaimin Gladiators, a little too active, a little too antsy on the site. It cost them most of their lives.
Yeah, bunch of wayward peaks that really got punished by One Shot. But we do go down to church. You know, this is where Gaimin Gladiators had a very good round to start us off. Of course, haven't been able to replicate this success on the other 2 sites, but as long as they get a second round here, you know, it's still recoverable as long as we see an attacker-sided Clubhouse, which is not typically what you would expect with a Thatcher Mav ban, but still One Shot have been making it work. Once again, Gaimin Gladiators are opting for the 3-tiered roam, extending all the way upstairs, and One Shot positioning themselves to start the full clear. Great adaptation. We saw, you know, just 3 rounds prior how not clearing this roam really punished them and lost them the round, so I'm glad that they're choosing to flush these guys out and not let Swaylin die for free from Logic.
Well, Swaylin will also avoid what seemed like a C4 going up. That was Jolton's Nitro Cell that's been burned and found much nothing. Rudy and Arrow still have 2 Nitro Cells in their pocket, though, and the rest of this defensive setup from the Gaimin Gladiators is very much in effect. They are still extended all the way up to this top floor, and what looked like it was going to be a full clear from One Shot has not come to fruition at all. They are now avoiding it, working their way around and positioning towards kitchen yet again. They might see something that we're not quite identifying yet, but the fact of the matter is, this is very similar to what happened last time, and we know how it turned out for One Shot last time. It just simply didn't work. We need to see Kilo use these Sens projectors better. We need to see this entire team unite around their execute a little better, and maybe NVK up above trying to provide that coverage could be the key.
I was going to say, I think this is what they're seeing, that as long as NVK is there holding the roamers, then they don't actually need to full clear like I had thought they were going to. Instead, they can fully focus on the site, and NVK is proving a distraction, preventing these players from defaulting back, but it still punishes one shot. Kilo, the man who is playing dirt as Sense, he'll go down thanks to a peek from main stairs. Another kill from Barring follows onto Razor. And, well, the dominoes fall once more. One shot in a 3 versus 5 with NVK extremely lit up still. The upstairs presence from the defense reigns, and Swalen's going to have to be very careful. He's going to try and drop in. Rudy gets the kill on NVK. Prod refrags Swalen, another onto Arrow. And the site is in hand for the attack. That is until Barring comes from blue. Prod puts us in a 1 versus 2, but good position for Gaimin Gladiators, especially with such low time remaining. Barring does eat a couple shots, but then gets passive, forces Prod to try and hunt for the engagements, and he misses the shots on Quartz, giving Gaimin Gladiators the tying point.
Yeah, they've got basement down. It's very clear that Gaimin Gladiators have a setup that they like to run with, and it seems that that setup has given One Shot just too much trouble on 2 separate occasions. A full extension. Not a full SSG roam per se, but you've got defenders on that top floor. You've got presence just about everywhere. And it forced One Shot to really spread that attacking presence out too. That got them in a bit of trouble when it came to the execute because they just did not have enough focused utility. It gave them a little bit of trouble when it came to the roam clear too, because they were so extended, they realized the extent of the roam, that they just did not commit to it. They just left NVK up there, decided to go for another bit of a shortcut execute, and another failure. It's also the second time that we have seen One Shot go to the abasement attack, bring the Sens and their Sens projectors, and do almost nothing productive with it. Gotta rethink that attack.
Yeah, I like the idea to hold the roam, but they didn't have anyone holding main stairs. You know, they only had someone on Logi Hatch, so not enough coverage to hold said roam. It's kind of like right idea, wrong execution. So we go back to Cash. Gaimin Gladiators did well to stall the time, but couldn't repel the attack. One Shot had a very late but very clean rafters clear that they turned into an execute off of 2 additional entries from Prod. There's no bandit trick that One Shot has to worry about this time, though, so they might be able to expedite this clear.
Oh, that's going to help quite a bit. Barring trying to dodge drones, dodge a couple of entries, and he ended up walking into the waiting arms of Razor again. That's good coverage there from the Yana, providing that cutoff on that chain repel position. A classic position, and Barring obviously knew it was there. He just didn't know that Razor was already watching it, and that angle had already been opened up. So a good start for One Shot yet again. They just have to now turn this into some site pressure. They got to turn this into some actual utility work, because that 1 kill won't help them when it comes about a minute or 2 later in this round. So they actually have to get something done. The difference here, though, is all that time waste they ran into last time, the bandit tricking, the difficulty they had with this wall, it's not going to happen again. They're able to open up this wall right away.
I thought Jalton was about to run into the Claymore for a sec. That was a bit dangerous, but is able to take it out before it causes any further damage later into the round. And while One Shot, they're able to get the wall open quicker, Gaimin Gladiators have made an adjustment of their own. They've added an additional rafters player, so Arrow is not on his lonesome. Rudy is there to join him, and Rudy has been a force to be reckoned with so far in this game. Midas being disposed of to make way for the nades, but again, this position from Rudy, One Shot need to be cognizant of it, otherwise it could completely shut down this clear, and there it is. Rudy threads the needle onto Swalen. Nade goes up, but caught by a disc. Razor and Prod, though, amend the mistake, and now it's just Quartz. One Shot take the opportunity and run with it thanks to the open breach. Quartz takes the fight outside, and Prod wins it, and One Shot take the lead again.
it looked for a moment, and maybe for 2 or 3 moments, that the adaptation you talked about, Harrison, that Gaimin Gladiators made, throwing Rudy onto Raptors, it looked like that would be the end of One Shot. I mean, the garage clear fell apart instantly once Rudy made his position known. He was able to get a kill from above, and instead of focusing those flashes and the nade and that utility on killing Arrow, all of a sudden NVK was like, oh my gosh, I have to turn this nade and see what I can find elsewhere. The lack of burn became a problem. We saw the Wamai disc, how it captured that nade, and it looked like Gaimin Gladiators had it. And then One Shot flipped the switch and stole the round. The presence from the breach was overwhelming. NVK was also able to get that kill onto Rudy, which was huge, and they just took gunfights and won them. If we're thinking utility game, if we're thinking, you know, patient, methodical siege, who won that battle? Really felt like Gaimin Gladiators, but at the end of the day, you gotta shoot back. You gotta get kills, and if you can take down all 5 defenders, you're gonna win a round every time, regardless of the utility struggles you have, regardless of how little time you have remaining, and that's exactly what One Shot did.
And it wasn't even like a bad call from the Gladiators either. Even if they had kept that bandit instead of bolstering Raptors, it was very easily dealt with by One Shot from below. They knew what they were walking into the second time around. They didn't even need to clear downstairs, and yet they did their due diligence anyway and still saved so much time. So the Gaimin Gladiators are going to not get desperate, but get creative. They don't want to go gym again. They know Cash is a bust, so they'll go bar. One Shot look as if they're reading into it, though, as they've now doubled up on the Buck and Sledge.
That could be enough in terms of utility, right? Like we talked about last round, but as far as Gaimin Gladiators are concerned, I like this site choice. I think it really feeds into what's been working for them and what's been giving One Shot trouble. Think about all those basement attacks. One Shot have had trouble clearing out the top floor. They've been reluctant to go for these top-down clears. You go to a site like this, you're not necessarily forced to go for a top-down clear, but if you don't get some amount of control over Master, you are going to be in a load of trouble when it comes to that execute. The difficulty of this site as far as defenders are concerned is that attackers can move in from like 8 different positions once they get that control, and it looks like that first step, that control, like I said, is starting to work out for One Shot this time. Arrow's the first to fall on this defense.
He gets smoked, too, by NVK. Prod moving through kitchen sends out a Selma, but it's very easily dealt with by barring because there hasn't been any control by main stairs. Swaylin compounds that entry kill onto Jolton, the man who is holding on the opposite side of the top floor. And Quartz is now the only extended defender upstairs remaining. 2 of his teammates have now fallen, and the drones start to come in for One Shot, hunting this last remaining player down. Kilo drones in by Master. You've still got Razor on the windows. There's a castle barricade in his way, which is currently protecting Quartz. That castle goes down, he'll be forced to move, but I don't believe One Shot have spotted him just yet. They've droned Server and Cash, and they've droned Master, but they have yet to check Construction. And the way NVK is moving in, yeah, it doesn't look like they've got info on it, but it might not matter. As Baron goes down on the site, NVK is just going to walk down main. They're ignoring Quartz. The Bandit is going to have to make his move soon. He has got to make his presence felt in the next 30 seconds. One Shot. They've completely peeled off the top floor. They're starting to execute. Quartz has the hatch open. He might have some pre-open holes as well, but Rudy's going to need all the help he can get. The Yana clone moves in. They call that bar, in and of itself, is completely clear. They're not going to need that soft destruction. They're not going to need that verticality because there's no anchors to worry about. Kilo, he'll start that plant. Quartz not dropping the hatch. He's looking for it. He finds it from above. It's a free double kill. And Rudy, another. It's a tie game. 2 versus 2. Razor's got to pick up the case. He repositions, but they've got pings. And the Gladiators take round 6 because One Shot misdrones a single player.
It's that simple. A top floor clear, not seeing it out entirely. That can happen. You leave a player upstairs unchecked. And no, they didn't walk into him up top, which I was primarily scared of, and just die by getting blindsided. But at the end of the day, the result was the same. You allow the player on the top floor to single-handedly win the round for your team by finding the perfect hole onto the default spot, onto exactly where that bomb was going down, and taking 2 quick headshots. It's that simple. And with that, instead of what really felt like a 4-2 half for One Shot emerging victorious on the attack on Clubhouse, it's 3-3. It is all tied up, and it is definitely anyone's game.
Oh, yeah, I mean, how do they drone all of server and cache, all of master and gym, but not com? The one room they didn't drone was the one that Quartz was hiding in. I mean, that's gotta suck for One Shot. I'm sure they're probably saying to themselves, you know, where the hell did that guy come from? And I'm sure once they watch the VOD back, they'll probably be kicking themselves for not droning him out, or if they did, assuming that he didn't have enough verticality to counter the plant. But either way, it's an even half. Jolton is trying to get the jump on a late reinforcement. Unfortunately, though, he'll miss the shots, and Razor gets away with his life.
Well, a loud start to this round as we hear the LMGs just ripping through windows and floorboards right now as Gaimin Gladiators try to take early map control if they can. A lot of defense to work their way through here, and as we see Gaimin Gladiators trying to pinch out this roam, pinch out this extension the old-fashioned way, like we see all the time. You've got some presence here directly on the first floor. That would be Quartz here in Billiards. He can open up that armored barricade there and try to force out the castle if he can. And the other players on this top floor will be trying to force these other roamers down and away back towards the site. We're not going to see anything cheeky, nothing too aggressive from Gaimin Gladiators in terms of a dirt rush or anything like that. They are walking directly into this setup, and they're going to clear it out little by little. So far, it's working. As they've started to force Kilo back, he'll back down the main stairs, and Razor will join him.
I think the X-Kairos from Arrow destroyed Rudy's exothermic charge. Rudy put the thermite charge on Jacuzzi Wall, right? Because it's not there anymore. And, well, that's not a great start for One Shot. Running away from Jolton, who's opening vert above main stairs and then landing a nasty shot on Prod. Kilo gets a team kill onto Razor. So, it's a two-man disadvantage for One Shot to start out this round.
E4, though, could be big if it's timed right. Arrow is potentially vulnerable to that, but he is careful to position himself on the metal shelves, not on the wood floor. One Shot have also lost another body in the process, so it's going to come down to NBK, the C4 he has in pocket, Kilo, and his pre-play C4, and probably a bunch of prayers and a divine intervention, because now it's just NBK. He's already been lit up, and there he is, finished off from the other side as Gaimin Gladiators finish off one of the cleanest attacking rounds you could possibly have on Clubhouse.
Like you said, very clean despite a couple hiccups in the beginning. But Jolton pressuring those main stairs actually pressures Kilo into a team kill. Knocks Razor off the board. Then we see Prod try and come in and assist. Try and get that, I guess, team refrag. And dumpstered by Jolton. I mean, that was gross. And Gaimin Gladiators now take the lead. 4-3. Obviously not the way One Shot wanted to start that match, or start this half. And they move to cash. Don't want to try Church again, I guess, figuring, you know, even though we had a team kill, that was still a pretty nasty attack from GG.
I mean, yeah, they definitely deserved that round, regardless of if One Shot gave them a little bit of an assist or not with some of those kills. And yeah, so now One Shot need to pivot here. Gotta change something up, because the hold that was very consistent for Gaimin Gladiators, that basement hold, will not prove not as fruitful, let's just say, for One Shot and the way that things unfolded. So onto CCTV and cash we go. The Azami present here in Kilo's hands. Not the same application, though, of those Kiva barriers. We see one placed actually close to that garage door, that single doorway, and none actually on the rafters itself.
Bit interesting. That's typically what they're used for, but not right now. Maybe later in the round. Who knows? We'll have to see. One shot, employing the bandit trick from Prod. That'll force Gaimin Gladiators to go downstairs and clear him out below, but there is support. There's a Jaeger playing lounge, now playing in swamp. Razor at bottom red, really making sure that this bandit is safe. They do not want anything getting in the way of Prod. There we go. Sounds like those zombies are finally going up on rafters. In jumps Barring, looking to take the entry engagement, but Razor has repositioned. Barring goes down, and this lounge clear not going as the Gladiators planned.
Didn't feel like much of a clear either, just kind of felt like a walk-in type strategy. Now they do have some support, though, from two other teammates holding this crossfire from that main double door and from Secret here as Jolton tries to work his way in, but still a lot of these defenders to figure out, one, where they are, and two, how to take them down. NBK is one of them, positioned in garage to assist both that Raptors hold and the lounge hold, but he will eventually back off. Razor is the next player to be holding this one down. And he'll just sit here patiently as Gaimin Gladiators, they're not biting off more than they could chew right now. They're staying extremely patient. That patience could get them into a little bit of trouble considering the lack of progress they've actually made on this wall.
We saw the burn down below as Jolton was thinking about chucking a nade to get the Wamaitis out of the way, but as they were cleared, Razor answered with another one. So it looks like, at least for now, there will be no nade from below to clear the bandit, but there will be 2 kills. NVK and Razor both go down, and the Gladiators reclaim the man advantage. Another nade from Quartz, 2 for 2, Swaylin off the board. Kilo trying to take things back. Prod, the successful bandit trick, no! A millisecond too late. Killed by the exothermic. Rudy, a double to finish the round, and the Gladiators come back and win it.
Yeah, it really looked like that bandit trick was not gonna work. I don't know, you maybe thought it was right on time. I thought it was just a little bit too late.
Dude, I thought he was gonna have it. Was literally like 200ths of a second off.
But it was off enough to down him, get himself finished off, leave that last player alone. I mean, it crumbled so fast for one shot when they had done such a good job of wasting a good 2 minutes off the clock. I mean, we were on about 60 seconds left before that wall had even opened up, before lounge control had really been secured. But once NBK was dealt with, once that pesky roaming Jaeger was finished off, Gaimin Gladiators just unleashed a flurry of nades, got 2 nade kills, and blew up the bandit batteries in one foul swoop. It was clinical once they had taken that control. And that's really impressive from Gaimin Gladiators, considering that is something that they have struggled with for a lot of these play days. They've struggled with efficient and proper application of utility and that coordination, but especially when those explosives started going off, they really felt as coordinated and as put together as ever.
Oh yeah, you gotta give it up to Quartz. Acting off of either info or intuition, 2 for 2 with nade kills, almost single-handedly bringing the round back into a winnable position for his team. Beautiful from the Frenchie. And Gaimin Gladiators, I mean, that looked like it was going to be a tie game, but they're up 5-3. And Jonah, we are 2 rounds away from looking very silly. All of us in the production room with our prediction. We unanimously voted one shot, but Gladiators are putting up one hell of a fight.
I mean, it's not our fault that one shot. Forgot how to play Clubhouse.
See, that's the mentality, Jonah. That's what I always say. I don't lose predictions. Teams troll me.
Exactly. It's not our fault. It's their fault, man. I mean, the way one shot have been playing, and in stark contrast, by the way, the way Gaimin Gladiators have been playing, this result, at least the way this is trending, is quite unexpected. We need to see one shot find their stuff again. Because on a map like this, you expect them to be pretty composed, if not at least even with their opponents. That'll help from NVK, getting that opener as he opens up that strip wall and gets a kill onto one of the players on the rappel. That's Quartz as well, big kill. A lot of kills so far for Quartz, and a lot of impact you can make late in the round as the Finka. That'll compound further into a problem for Gaimin Gladiators as Razor takes down Rudy. And, yeah, that may have been through the drone hole. That's brutal.
Oh, and then NVK, another. First, this bailiff strip, and then to dirt. I mean, that's gotta suck for Gaimin Gladiators. And with Prod taking Jolton off the board, it's barring in a 1 versus 5 with a minute to go. Razor eats a lot of damage, trades just a bit back, and Swaylin finishes the round off. One-shot answer with a flawless round. So, Mental, obviously, not chalked just yet.
We did just ask for them to step it up, and a flawless round is, I guess, the perfect way to step it up. You can't step it up more than that, Harrison. That it is as stepped up as it could possibly get. Nice job. Right, nice job for One Shot. They go to the gym and bedroom site. It was their 3rd site of choice. Obviously not as comfortable there as the others, but they sure seemed comfortable. Had the advantage the whole time and never stepped off the gas. I think they got a little bit more aggressive. They knew at that point they were forced onto a bomb site that they don't love, so they probably played a little bit more confidently, a little bit more willy-nilly in terms of the gunfights they did take, and that ended up working out just fine. Gaimin Gladiators just didn't find a single answer, a single trade for any of the aggression that One Shot put forward. But here's the thing. We're headed back downstairs to the basement, and as luck would have it, we're probably heading to CCTV and Cash next, regardless of the outcome here. One Shot have to do more than just find a site that they haven't defended yet and succeed on it. Now they need to adapt and try to figure out what they didn't do so well last time they were here and what they can do better.
It's only a 1-round game. Still recoverable from One Shot. Again, can't blame us for predicting One Shot, even if they lose. Gaimin Gladiators only has 2 points. What else are we supposed to do? One Shot are employing a roam. Again. Same thing like we saw in the first round of the half. The Gaimin Gladiators very effectively picked apart and are beginning to pick apart again. Prod put to very low HP already, and just 30 seconds into the round, that's going to prompt him to fall back. So now these roamers upstairs no longer have the man in bar to cover their rotation downwards.
That's going to be a problem if Gaimin Gladiators play this the same way. If they put somebody like Quartz straight up into billiards by that pool table facing into bar, if he's already there opening things up, it's possible that One Shot don't know that yet. He's a little bit late. He hasn't quite done that. But if he gets himself in position in the next 10 seconds, it's very possible that he could catch both of these defenders as they rotate down, because One Shot are reluctant, it seems, to give up that control. Still a player, 2 players even, in construction where Jolton is trying to drop down into. They've moved into Cash, I think over into CCTV respectively, but they are not far off from this clear that is now coming in. It looks like they're finally committing to the retreat, as NVK will just send a flurry of bullets down range to allow that retreat from his teammate, but they're cutting it awfully close.
Kilo almost had an opportunity as well to swing onto Jolton and one pump him, but as Kilo rotates downwards, NVK decides to stick around. At least for now, he'll head towards over the steps and maybe default back. He's definitely thinking about it, weighing his options. Because the Gaimin Gladiators have not really touched the top floor. They are beginning to transition downwards. Perhaps they are too distracted by the site setup, and that could allow NVK in for a flank. He's still on that middle floor, and it looks like he's going back towards garage. Nope, he'll rotate back down to oil pit. Figure that he's best used on site with that C4 to deny the plant if it comes down to it, as the Gaimin Gladiators drop Moto and start to take control of the church wall.
Yeah, reasonable timing on that adjustment, because it is time for Gaimin Gladiators to go for this execute. And these final few smokes are now being expended. As Swaylin tries to get the last one off, he walks into Barring's bullets. He does get it off, in fact, but that's the final one. No more time waits, and with 20 seconds left, the Gladiators should have free reign of this site as they move in. NVK's been down as he tries to work his way back through blue. Rudy's gonna stick this plant, and Prod, he's just a little bit too late to make an impact. Now it's a post plant, and One Shot in a 3v5. Attackers now think a boost, need to get a move on. Prod's been dropped. Razor from behind can't do much from this angle. He's gonna actually have to get in the hallway and make a move. NVK's been revived, and that's something. It'll allow Razor to get another with that distraction. He'll get 2, in fact. Third as it rounds the corner, not quite. NVK answers. Now it's a 1v2. He'll go to revive Kilo possibly, as Kilo just revived him a second ago. He wants to return the favor, but it'll cost Kilo his life and NVK's life soon after, because he is simply out of time and out of options. He'll walk into Baring's gun again, and Baring claiming 2 very important kills in that post plant. Gaimin Gladiators 6-4. They move on to match point.
I think 3 kills in total for Baring, if I'm not mistaken. But it really opened up by killing the smoke of Swaylin. A lot of times, you know, that opening in the church wall, there's the shield there. It's to dissuade the attackers from pushing down main stairs. So instead, the Gladiators drop Moto. Baring just forces his way into the wall to peek it and shuts Swaylin down. Then NVK, coming back through Oil Pit again to use that C4 to get into position to stop this plant, is shut down through the long angle by Baring, all the way from outside church wall to into blue at the end of the Oil Pit hallway. So those players are down. The plant goes down from Rudy, and while the Gladiators, they start to fight back thanks to Razor getting some pretty good kills, the Gaimin Gladiators never let those kills go unanswered. They keep in step with those trades. Even though NVK gets rezzed, they make sure to punish other players. Razor, maybe getting a little bit too over-aggressive, could have played with his team a little bit better, especially on such low HP. He thought he could continue to press the issue and just got pre-fired by Rudy around the corner. But, I mean, One Shot had a valiant attempt. It was a good try. But at the end, Gladiators just in a much better position to win the round, and now in a much better position to win the map. It is 6-4, and they are 1 round away from pulling the upset.
2-round cushion as well. And a regulation win here would be tremendous. I think it was Brim who said something about a regulation win, and then CJ was like, "Did you just say regulation win for Gaimin Gladiators? That doesn't make any sense." But it looks like that's what we're seeing. At least they've got 2 chances to do it. We'll have this match point and then a match point at 6-5 at the bare minimum if One Shot can take at least one of these rounds. But it's just been inconsistent for One Shot. That's the truth. They just haven't found a site they're comfortable with. They haven't found a defensive strategy that is consistently giving Gaimin Gladiators trouble. Whereas on the other side of the coin, Gaimin Gladiators, it seemed that they were able to find a little bit of a rhythm, right? They figured out that basement worked pretty early on. They figured out that an extension was pretty lethal. And One Shot just haven't had the same fortune. The aggression, right, is another thing that One Shot can try. It's what Kilo will try as he goes for a bit of a spawn peek, but he actually doesn't land a single bullet onto Jolton. Jolton retaliates, kindly enough, and deals a bullet or 2 worth of damage onto Kilo, but that's not going to be too impactful. Just takes the smallest little bit of damage, so he'll likely fall back, play a little bit less aggressive, but Razor, he is playing pretty forward here.
I thought that was going to be a pretty nasty spawn peek from Kilo, considering how nasty he is with those reflex sights, but it was not to be. Both NVK and Razor now battling against this player outside Wolf. Quartz does a significant portion of damage to NVK, rise him up to about half HP, as we've now eclipsed 1 minute. Gladiators, I don't believe they've opened the wall just yet. Again, Prod and his support down below is proving to be an issue. Rudy might still go for it anyway. He's got the drone out instead. He's going to put it through the drone hole maybe. Stick it in Prod's face and see if the man is still there. No, he's going to assist the downstairs clear. See if there are any roamers in stock. There's none in stock itself. They're just bottom red and swamp like they were in the previous round. Prod again just kind of teasing the bandit trick. Zophia's worked her way in. Are getting spotted by the procs, but I don't think there's anyone in direct contention with the attacker to stop her from opening this and preventing the bandit trick.
There it is. Good use of those stuns and nades, and Prod is just torn apart. The wall is then torn apart accordingly. Bandit trick unsuccessful. Sure, 2 minutes have been burned before the wall's been opened up, but now Gaimin Gladiators have already done a lot of what else needs to be done. They've got the control over on this west side. They've got somebody working their way up towards garage now. The garage breach is also open, and they're already starting to frag out. There goes Rudy with an opener onto Razor, dropping down the Wamai. Everyone else on one shot has taken a little bit of damage here and there, and Kilo, he is soon to be under fire. A lot of Kiba barriers, though, to support this position, and it looks like Gaimin Gladiators just want to send it in, getting a little bit impatient, and it's going to cost them a couple of their lives, returning this one into a 2v2. Crucial shot, though, by Rudy, cut down to 1 HP, but barely survives to get the kill onto Prod. NVK is the last player standing. Jolton with a watchful eye on that rotation, misses the first kill, but just enough coverage for the plant to go down, and now for NVK to be caught out in the open. Good shot onto one, and now a 1 HP Rudy is the next victim for NVK, who clutches it up and keeps one shot in the mix.
Wow. NVK saves his team from defeat, pushes us to max regulation. That should have been the game. Right there. That was it. And the Gladiators dropped the ball. NVK starting off in con, a long angle onto the breach, tears through the Hibana of Arrow, drops that case. Rudy's got to pick it up and move his way through, and the rest of one shot just fall by the wayside. The Bandit gets a very nice kill on Red, but is refragged by Rudy, and right there, right then and there, with the plant going down and Jolton on the cover, it seems like there is no way in hell that the Gladiators are going to lose this, but Jolton missing some very, very crucial shots. When NVK first rotated through that con door, he was spraying. That was not a sprint. Jolton had ample time to kill that Jaeger and missed. And then decided, with Rudy, retreated out the breach to get aggressive. You do not need to peek that angle any longer if you're Jolton. Rudy has already backed off. You do not need to cover your teammate. Just play passive. You can stay in garage if you want. Ideally, you would double up on plat, but Jolton is just unable to get away, unable to control himself, I guess. Peeks loses the fight, and from there, Rudy is just so low. Don't really know why he didn't get on the rappel angle, considering how low he was, because, you know, if you're gonna die, might as well be a headshot, might as well make it more difficult for your opponent, but he decides to just stay on plat and take the heads-up gunfight, and, you know, you're likely not gonna win that, especially with the cover that the server rack provides. So, excellent play by NVK, and I don't know, with Jim being the next site, my confidence in Gaimin Gladiators closing this out in regulation just dipped a bit.
Yeah, starting to wane. Especially when you don't finish out that last round, when it looks like you had every option to do so. So one shot, they were tested. NVK specifically was tested, and he hangs on. Can one shot do it again now is the question. NVK will face probably a brunt of this early pressure, but he's actually going to just get the heck out of there. Only 60 seconds in, and he wants no part in this cache extension, leaving that entire side of the top floor ripe for the taking. Of course, he's going to rotate down below and try to make his impact felt elsewhere, but if Gaimin Gladiators make a read onto this, they can work their way up into construction for free. There goes Jolton. Right now, he understands the control that they have. Here comes Barring. Sure, there's a Kiba barrier in your way, but this team has enough utility to get it done. Kilo is just trying to hang on to this for a bit longer, seeing if construction can really be where this hold takes place.
There's no shield, just a very forward-facing Kiba barrier. Typically, the shield is placed a bit further back, more in the doorway than in con, with some ADSs to help protect it. And NVK is going to get the leadoff kill on Court. Again, a big player for this team and a big player in this match so far. That's a beautiful opening frag for NVK, continuing his momentum from the previous round. In fact, top fragging for his team. Give his team the man advantage in the most important round in this game. This decides whether or not one shot goes down in regulation or they're able to glean a point in overtime. But the man who started things off will be the next to go down.
See Barring rotating around. He's kind of been stuck on that cache side for quite a while. He's been reluctant to use that utility to deal with these Kiba barriers, but sounds like we heard one detonate. Yes, it looks like he's blown up the one on that construction door, so at the very least he can get in the room. But how is he going to deal with Kilo? he still has more Kiba barriers. He's got frost mats everywhere, and now he knows the drones are coming, and he knows the pressure is building. But the big thing is, there is only 12 seconds. Gaimin Gladiators have to make a move, and it's not coming. Finally, Barring pushes in to get a kill. He'll get 2, and Jolton gets another. They've lost Rudy and another teammate in the process. Razor, through the wall, finishes off the round. We're going to OT.
What the hell? I'm dumbfounded. I can't believe Razor just won that. So, first of all, One Shot did a great job of delaying time, you know, especially with Kilo in construction. He was great. But the Gladiators, despite the low time, despite there being 15 seconds left, started to pull things back. Barring the kill in Logi, whipping around to get Kilo and Khan as well. Jolton just jumping through the window to add on. And it seemed like the Gladiators were about to pull a miracle out of their hat and win in regulation. Until Razor put his foot down. And that's why, even if a team starts to pull the frags back, when the time is that low, you can't, it's not reliable. You can't call the round over. The Gladiators were so pressured by the dwindling seconds. They were so panicked. Their only option was to sprint into sight with no info. Both gunned down, trying to either search for the frag or search for a safe plant spot. Either way, they weren't able to find it. Razor takes out Barring, shoots him in the legs, sees Jolton passing as well, and the sledge didn't even know what hit him. Truly a dramatic finish to regulation. And One Shot are given the defensive side, but again, can't necessarily say whether or not this is an advantage, considering it was 3-3 in the halves.
Yeah, really impossible to know for sure. It is still anyone's game, and I mean, the momentum is clearly with One Shot right now, but you never know. Gaimin Gladiators should have ample time to make some adjustments. They should understand what they need to do here, because they've had now 2 separate occasions to close out this game, both rounds in which they had the advantage and looked like they were going to win, but they are starting to lose things. Ports will be the first to go down. Barring, though, will come in clutch and get a quick trade. So Kilo's been taken care of here. But at what cost? You've lost your Finka. You've lost a big clutch player for you. And now you've got to do the rest of the round in a 4v4.
At the very least, Razor is lit up. And the Roam has largely been dealt with. The only players left is Razor on mid-main, and NVK, who's making his way back down secret now in the basement. So it's a 1-for-1 trade. You get a lot of HP off Razor, and you clear the Roam. So all in all, not terrible, but Razor's coming back upstairs. Now, there's no one directly on the top floor for him to fight, but still, it's control that he could use to his advantage later in the round, and he's looking to pop a hole into kitchen and get a quick frag. He's trying to listen around, predict where Jolton is going to be when he sends this impact through. There it is. And Jolton, he doesn't notice, but he gets away, not only with his life, but with a kill. Swaylin dead. He has been having a terrible game so far, and as the smoke, that is not the operator you wanted to lose.
Still with 40 seconds as well. He hasn't had the opportunity to get those smokes involved, and now NBK gone as well, thanks to a well-placed nade. And this has now gotten, several different levels of problematic for One Shot. Razor is still on that low HP he was from earlier. Prod will come in clutch, taking down Arrow in the process here. But now Barring, taking up that same position, should have an opportunity because Prod, his back is turned. Barring's just gonna walk in, no problem, but he gets taken down. Are you kidding? How did that happen? Jolton is now last alive. He'll catch Razor out. With this diffuser, though, it doesn't matter. He's got to hunt for the kill, and he can't find it. 3 rounds in a row where Gaimin Gladiators should have won the round, and One Shot have found a way to deny it.
just ripped it away. I mean, with Razor, with the roam clear, not being optimal, but still effective from the Gladiators, and Razor missing his opportunity on Jolton, that looked like it was going to be the round. Gladiators start trudging into the objective. Prod lands a nice shot, sure, but it's still a 2 versus 3, and Barring knows exactly where he is. But Prod still wins the fight. I mean, close range against a 1 armor with the Vector at half HP. That's the best situation for Prod to get that kill, in all honesty. But still, Barring knew where he was. Surprised he didn't pre-fire through the bar, considering the top part of it is bangable. But still, excellent from Prod. Don't know how Razor got his kill, but he was prone behind the armory racks, and by the time the Jolton got the train and went on the hunt for Prod, it was just far too late. So one shot, like you said, 3 rounds in a row that the Gladiators should have won, 2 of which would have ended the map. And now one shot take the advantage. I mean, the Gladiators have better have some iron wills, because otherwise, I mean, 3 in a row like that is a chalker for sure.
I mean, it's not just 2 rounds to put it away and you don't put those rounds away. It's 2 rounds to put it away, and with about 20 seconds to go, you're winning the round, and it looks like you've won the match. That is the extent that this has switched around. It has been a crazy turn of events. And it's not like One Shot are playing perfect, and it's not like Gaimin Gladiator have lost it entirely. It's just that the beginning of the round and the middle of the round, it's going all Gaimin Gladiators' way. And then it's just snatched out of their hand. Now again and again, and we just saw it for a 3rd time. Can One Shot do it again? Now it's their match point.
Yeah.
They've got a chance to put it away.
If they win it
around so quickly.
If they get 4 in a row and win the map off of another miracle play, I don't know. Like,
I'm gonna lose on mine.
The season, like the stage might be chalked for Gladiators. I don't know if they can recover at all. Even with Aerial Rise only technically 2 games away. But, oh, it's so rough. Rudy refiring open the barricade. Razor looking to answer his call. Nearly gets the wall bang through the shelf. Oh, that was close. Rudy lives to die another day. Barring up top. Again, this roam has proved detrimental for One Shot, and I'm hoping this time they've tried ignoring it. They've tried just holding it. I'm hoping this time they actually clear it, and that's a great way to start.
Yeah, the Nadal down, Barring. Will they be able to finish him off?
Ooh,
Looks like it. Just barely, though. As Barring trying to sneak away. Rudy will now retake this position, but, I mean, he's been spotted easily on that drone. A drone which is still alive, mind you, so Rudy will need to be very careful with how he plays this. He's really struggling with this drone, and now he needs to get the heck out of there because he is in a load of trouble. You've got 2 players now bearing down on his position. The Kiba barrier, the only thing really keeping him alive right now. Razor couldn't jump in that CCTV window because of the Kiba barrier in his way. So Rudy's still a nuisance for One Shot to work their way through. They've cleared one of these roamers, so now they're going to turn their attention to locking Rudy off and playing on the site.
Razor has come close to killing Rudy twice now. So maybe 3rd time's the charm. Arrow also upstairs in stock. Gaimin Gladiators trying to punish the lack of full, complete clear for the 3rd time this map. We'll see if it goes their way with only Jolton and Quartz on the site. The cap can, a change that we didn't really talk a lot about. That's new. One Shot are going to take so long, maybe those EDDs are going to punish, and there's Rudy coming in, killing Razor, NVK refrags. Swaylin, he's getting the bomb down! Nobody on the defense knows! What a ninja plant from the Hibana! Prod, a follow-up kill! Rudy the next to die! And Quartz is alone! Post plant dies to the hatch, and One Shot from the brink! Bring the map back. Gaimin Gladiators just could not close it out. And it's 2 points for One Shot, 1 point for the Gladiators. Unbelievable.
That's gotta sting. That's gotta sting so bad, man. So close to winning that one on 2 separate occasions. So close to winning a 3rd round. I know we've said it already, but where does that leave the mental of Gaimin Gladiators at this point? One shot. You gotta give it up to them for a comeback performance of the ages, not only in the overall scoreline, taking that one out from 4-6, bringing it back, and then winning 4 rounds in a row, but doing that in the way that they did it,
I can't
with like
it.
3 clutch plays back to back to back. Hey, that's gotta feel great.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to feel great for them. It's got to feel great for us for saving our prediction percentages. And I mean,
Facts.
although One Shot won, right? They only take 2 points from this game, so they only go from 12 to 14. They tie TTK. So they're only at 14 points. You got to think, right? Everyone from 1st through 6th, from Rent-Free down to LG, they're all very thankful that, if Gaimin Gladiators couldn't win, at the very least, they bring it to OT and minimize the damage done. Because remember, it's not just about this stage. One Shot are at the top of the year's standings. So for everyone else, the less points One Shot gets, the better. It's not just about this stage. It's about the bigger picture. But that's the last game for you and I tonight. That's the last game for me this weekend because I will soon be in a car heading to Connecticut overnight, and that's 13 hours. Not looking forward to that, but you guys can look forward to further matches. We've got 2 left tonight, but until then, Joan and I are done for. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Back to the desk to digest that hell of a game.
At this point, commenting on One Shot is like, wow, I'm super impressed of the resilience of this group to bring it back, but also in a matchup that it shouldn't have been that close. And you know what? All the credit to Gaimin Gladiators. They earned every round that they won. But my gosh, Tanner.
Yeah.
This was a lot closer than it should have been.
I mean, I talked at the beginning of the game about slow starts for One Shot, and that's exactly what we ended up seeing. Gaimin Gladiators on their defensive half were really solid, like especially on the Church Arsenal defensive site. They were doing a light roam, they were getting a pick, they were falling back to site, and then they were playing their numbers advantage. They were successful with their C4s. They did really well. But One Shot, once they started to wake up, once MVK and once Razor started to show up, like it just became a whole different game. And what a way to kind of call a timeout in round 10 and then win round 11 with a 1v2 clutch for MVK. And then win round 12 with a 1v2 clutch from Razor. And then win round 13 with Razor and Prod clutching a 2v4. It was just clutch after clutch after clutch. It showed that they had a lot of resilience, a lot of heart in it. Maybe they could have done a little bit better job with the timeout and calling it earlier. Maybe it wouldn't have had to have gone to overtime. But it showed that they wanted to win. And it looked like a completely different roster than we saw from the previous Playday. Just big shout out to One Shot with that one.
Well, Cookies, I know an overtime loss is not much of a consolation prize, especially considering the position that they're in at the moment, but they played a game. I mean, ironically, this is probably the best game we've seen Gaimin Gladiators play as a team, especially given the opponent that they had.
Well, up until 50 different clutches happened on them at the end, it was looking like they were going to have a nice, dare I say, bordering on dominant regulation win. The bar stock defense to allow that 3-3, it's just like they were pulling out all the stops. And I did allude to the fact that I almost wanted to switch to Gaimin Gladiators, right? I was having, what do you call it, forceful gambler's fallacy.
Yeah, a gambler's fallacy, yeah.
I was screaming, I'm like, I knew I should never pick One Shot. I should have picked Gaimin, I should have switched. And then things turned in the opposite direction for Gaimin. It just, clutches got away from them. And you know what? MVK is still nasty. He still got it, and I love to see it, especially me. I want to get an FPL, and
Okay.
I like when people still show that they still got it. It gives me inspiration.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
You're
you still got it,
too.
Cookies, but we can all dream. I'm kidding. I'm just busting you here. Okay, we do have ready for interview. We have Swaylin. We'll ask him a few questions because this was an interesting one. Swaylin, okay, we're not here under the terms we normally are. This was a close one. Did you expect to need or have to pull this out in overtime?
Not, we obviously like hold ourselves to higher standards than what we've been playing at the last 2 weeks. So we're just hoping to like clean that up for tomorrow.
Do you think it at the very least speaks to the resiliency of your group that you guys were in a pretty precarious position? I think it was what 6-4 at one point, so you had to have some rounds where you came back and then take it to OT and win it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's where like the experience shows from. I think like Nate was mainly doing the talking, is like telling us that we just got to relax and just take our steps and just not overthink it.
Yeah, well, let's talk for a second. Obviously, the CCTV retake, we were screaming ourselves watching it. It went to bring it to 6-5, and then that was NVK, and then Razor with his massive clutch on the gym site. Are you guys quiet at that point, or are you guys screaming as well when that happens?
No, we were screaming.
Yeah, it's super exciting. Well, Swaylin, I mean, I'm sure you guys have a lot to talk about, things to fix, but congratulations on that win. That was a lot of fun to watch.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you can sense it there. You can sense we're happy we won. We like that we came back, but you're also, there's part of you that's kicking yourself thinking it never needed to get there. Like, we know what we can do. And yeah, I mean, that was an interesting one to say the very least. Very happy with that one. Okay, we have 2 matches left to go today. The next match coming up is going to be Aqualix taking on Aerial Arise. Once again, a super important matchup. You're not going to want to miss it. We'll see everyone in a few minutes.